4 weeks after Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 completely vanished, there's new hope now that the jet might be found. Today, a Chinese ship reportedly detected a signal matching the frequency of the plane's black box, and that signal was detected near the search area in the southern Indian Ocean, which is about 1,000 miles off the coast of Australia. Chinese state media said a pulse signal, also called a ping, was detected earlier this morning. Now, according to those reports, 3 members of the ship's crew heard it, but they didn't have time to record it. The source of the ping has not been determined, and the Chinese and Australian governments both say there's no evidence to definitively link it to that missing plane. Experts say the black box's batteries last for about 30 days. So for more on this, let's turn now to Al Jazeera's transportation contributor, Todd Curtis. He's a pilot and an expert on airplane security, and he joins us live this morning from Newton, Massachusetts. Good afternoon to you, Todd.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, Todd, these pings that China's state news agency is reporting, what do they really tell us? Do they tell us exactly where the plane is, or could they even give us more specific information, like how and when the plane went down?
Well, the first question that has to be answered by the investigators out there is whether or not this ping is associated with one of the black boxes. And from what I understand, the officials in Australia, who of course are coordinating the search in that area, have stated that they need some sort of confirmation before they start sending assets into the area to check this out. But that may be the next step, sending assets, sending other ships, aircraft, what have you, to try and confirm whether or not this is a legitimate signal.
But you said they need confirmation. What specifically do they need to still find out in order to determine whether this signal is in fact related to that plane?
Well, in essence, what they have is an eyewitness or an ear witness report that they tuned it to the frequency of that pinger, and they heard the pings for about 90 seconds. There's no recording of it. There's no way to independently verify that this indeed was from that frequency. And other characteristics of the signal that could pin it to being one of those 2 black box pingers. So that's really what's needed before significant resources are probably going to be put onto that.
But Todd, is it possible that this is the result of a false positive, especially with so many search vessels all in that area?
It is possible. And in fact, this search vessel, the Chinese vessel, was several hundred miles away from where the aircraft are currently searching. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because assuming the impact of the aircraft was at some point in the ocean, after 4 weeks, the debris floating on the ocean is going to be several hundred miles away. So even though this is an unconfirmed signal, the fact that it's not in the same area as the air search gives me a little bit of positive hope that perhaps this is something that can be confirmed to be from the aircraft.
Okay, so given everything you just said, what is the status of the investigation right now, 4 weeks later? Do you get the sense that investigators are any closer to finding this plane, or has the investigation really lost some of its steam?
I think, on the contrary, the investigation came to a turning point today, because the transportation minister in Malaysia announced that there would be an international advisory team put together with an investigator in charge, apparently not a Malaysian official, who would be in charge of this international team. That would include China, the United States, Malaysia, Britain, and France, and Australia. And this is an international team that would have some of the heavyweights when it comes to aviation safety, particularly the British, the French, and the Americans, and the Australians. So if indeed this organization is going to be made, and there's going to be an investigator in charge from one of those major investigating countries, that will be a positive turning point. That will probably let this investigation go a bit more smoothly than it has.
All right. Todd Curtis joining us live from Newton, Massachusetts this afternoon. Todd, thanks so much for being with us.